Welcome back. We're still discussing the recurrent attacks in Plateau State, and joining me on the program right now is security expert Abu Hamisu, who joins us from Abuja. So Hamisu, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for joining us. You look at this latest attack. What exactly do you make of it? Why do we keep having these attacks in Plateau?
Well, thank you very much for this very particular important question. I want to start by saying that in an atmosphere of security, everybody is a beneficiary. And in the same way, in an atmosphere of insecurity, everybody is a potential victim. The issue of the Plateau is the failure of the people involved to understand and recognize a fact that has continued to stare us on the face, that we have to live together and then we have to work together for peace. And that if it is possible for one group to expel the other group or the other group to expel the other group, they would have done that long ago. But since it's not possible, what we need to do as a better option is how to work together to achieve peace on the Plateau. The crisis on the Plateau has diverted the traffic. Plateau was a gateway to the northeast. If you want to go to the northeast very fast, you have no option than to follow through Plateau. But since the crisis has started, it has diverted traffic through Kaduna, Bauchi, then to the northeast, or you follow through. And it has led to a situation, and that situation is poverty, because a lot of the petty traders, the fruits that are being grown on the Plateau are dependent on the influx of the people that are transiting through the Plateau to make substantial sales. That is not possible now, and people are in poverty. So the other aspect of your question that I like to really highlight is the fact that once there is an atmosphere of justice where people are punished for their crimes, there is always no incentive to embark on any mission other than to sit back to really reflect whether what I've done and the punishment I've received is really worth my going back to it. But when people do things and the law does not catch up with them, this group kills another group today, and nothing happened, and then the government will tell you we are on top of the situation. Tomorrow, another faction will go for retaliation, and then it continues like that on and on and on ad infinitum until both parties are held accountable and punished. I tell you, there will be no peace on the Plateau.
But why do you think it's been difficult to punish offenders? Why has it been difficult to make arrests? Usually when attacks of this nature happen, and we've seen several attacks like this in the past on the Plateau, no arrest is made, no one is punished, no one is prosecuted, nothing happens. Even on this case now as we speak, there's been no announcement of any arrest at all. Why has it been difficult for the authorities to do that?
It is simple. We're not sincere. The second aspect is that where criminality is being perpetrated, almost everybody is in support of it. If you're not in support of it, your community will reject you. They will think that you're a sellout, and everybody becomes an accomplice. And then you have only very few voices that are against what is happening from either both sides. So it's a pretty straightforward situation. If government is willing to tackle this very particular situation, it would have done it long ago. But even government itself is playing politics with the entire thing, because you can't tell me that those that are charged with responsibility to maintain peace, law, and order fail in their duties and in their responsibilities, and still you allow them to occupy their position without any sanction. It's not done anywhere in the world. Even our neighbors, the Francophone countries, Nigeria, if you are the DPO of any division and Boko Haram strikes, be rest assured by tomorrow, if it is found out that it's out of your own negligence or complicity or application of duties and responsibilities, you're going to leave your post the very next day. But that is not happening in Nigeria. In fact, the people that are even responsible for their failure, they are promoted. So what do you expect? You don't expect them to put in their best. Secondly, it is assumed that when you touch a group, there will be a backlash. So you don't really want to touch anybody so that there will be peace. You can't maintain peace by condoning injustice, by condoning violence, by condoning killings and massacre, and you think there will be peace, and that way nothing will happen. No, the incentive for people to continue to kill themselves is when there is no punishment that is meted on those that perpetrated those crimes. So if you are able to identify those persons and you sanction them appropriately, then I bet you all of this rubbish will stop. It is not a Plateau issue. It is a Nigerian issue. We don't punish anybody for doing anything wrong. We promote people for doing the wrong things, and then we give them chieftaincy title for stealing our money. So it's our national problem. It is until such a time that we retrace our steps and ensure that the right things are done, people are punished for the dereliction of duties, for abdication of responsibilities, for complicity, for not doing their job, and even the perpetrators are held accountable irrespective of their status, those that are involved. There was a time in Adamawa State, I remember, that this particular crisis was equally rearing its ugly head, especially around Numan. And what did the governor did, Rear Admiral Inyako, as the then governor of Adamawa State, he enacted a law through the National Assembly, and he said, any traditional ruler that allows his domain to be used to perpetrate any kind of violence, either in the name of religion or ethnicity, that very particular traditional ruler was going to lose his stool. And I bet you that was the end of ethno-religious classes in Adamawa State. Why can't we replicate the same thing in Plateau State? Why can't we replicate the same thing in Kaduna State? Why can't we do it in Benue State? So until people are punished for what they've done, Nigeria will never overcome this particular problem, because we are treating perpetrators and their accomplices with kid gloves, and then we are rewarding their irresponsibilities and incompetencies with promotion and a pat on the back.
You look at this issue. Is this literally or essentially a fight now, or a conflict now between the so-called settlers and the so-called indigents? Because we've heard of some other side now, like for instance, we've heard of this group that are known as settlers now. They've also complained that, look, in the past they've been attacked, and that what we see is usually, you know, what essentially goes on in Plateau is simply attack and reprisals, and that's what we're seeing. Is that what this is all about?
Yes. This very particular conflict is not different from the normal conflict that we're witnessing on the Plateau since 1999, when we returned to democracy and the issue of political participation became so heated up. And then that led to the labeling of some persons as indigents and some persons as settlers. Now, the issue is that whether some persons are indigents or they are settlers, both have come to stay, and majority of the settlers that we're referring to settlers today, actually they are settlers and their parents have been there, their great-grandparents have been there for say 100 years or plus. Now what we're saying is, okay, we had an issue, and this issue is really dealing us debilitating blows. For instance, the terminus market that used to be the largest in Africa was burnt down as a result of this crisis. Now, who is suffering the consequence of that? I earlier mentioned the diversion of traffic. What used to make Plateau to be very thick was its capacity to absorb visitors. And even musicians in Lagos will tell you they have their roots on the Plateau, and that is where they're coming from. This is to tell you the role Plateau has played in the lives of the people. And where people are resisting their expulsion, you should know that there are more things at stake. So what do we work for? Is it reprisals, or to work for amicable settlements so that everybody will become the beneficiary of the peace that we are going to work for? Yeah, I said it, and that is exactly what you brought out in your question. Where people don't get justice, you are only postponing the evil day because there will be reprisal attack to avenge the death of their loved ones. That is what is happening. That is equally what is happening in Israel and Palestine. People are determined to lose their lives in avenging the death of their loved ones, and there is nothing you can do about that. You can't stop people who are determined to continue to do what they want to do, whether the wrong things or the right things. So if the indigents want to expel the non-indigents using violence, and then the non-indigents are fighting back using violence, what we get is a situation of violence that will blow no good for anybody. And that is why we're saying that the best way out of the situation is either the Plateau people, whether indigenous or settler, decide to come together to work for peace so that they can enjoy peace and enjoy prosperity as they used to enjoy before, or that federal government uses its might through the security apparatuses to ensure that any perpetrator is dealt with. So if you are dealing with the indigenous, you should be dealing with the settlers, and that way you would have earned the confidence of both parties to have done justice. But if you decided to side with the settlers, the indigenous will not take that, and the conflict will continue. And if you decide to side with the indigenous, the settlers will not take that because they will feel cheated and they will continue the struggle. So we only have two options on our ends. Either the people on the plateau resolve to say, never again, let us work for peace and prosperity of all of us, or that federal government of Nigeria become more determined and emboldened to ensure that perpetrators are brought to book, whether they are indigenous or they are settlers. In no circumstance should we're in a democracy, in no circumstance should anybody choose to use violence to pursue issues, agendas that are political, that can be resolved on the table. So we shouldn't encourage the use of violence in whatever circumstance we find ourselves, because we're in a democracy that thrives on dialogue and aggregation of interest. So that is just the way to go for peace to return to the plateau.
Now, as someone who's been following this development now for a very long time, how do you think, other than the security agents that you have, because obviously you just can't have enough security personnel on the ground, but other than that, how else do you think, or what can the people do to help themselves rather than just sit down and be killed from both sides now?
You see, the options before us are now palatable. One is palatable, one is not. And I will emphasize this, that the only set of persons that can bring peace to Plateau are the people that are living on the plateau. Once they resolve to say never again, it will never happen. But if they continue to do what they're doing, where you have people that are determined to kill each other, it's either you live or you die, and then those that are supposed to live are not willing to live, they are willing to fight and die, then you have a situation on your hand, and that situation is not going to be palatable for anybody. The other option is to say everybody should arm themselves, which will not augur well for Nigeria and then the people on the plateau, to say that everybody should arm themselves, they should be able to buy weapons that they can use to defend themselves. So the only option is for the people of the plateau to come together to say that we are not going to go of violence, we are going to work for peace, and then we're going to achieve peace together. Because even if you propose that we should put together eminent personalities to go to the plateau to talk to them, if the people are not really ready, they will not. I give an instance. When the fight against Boko Haram was on in the northeast, Nigerian armed forces were not even making serious headway, because there was a disconnect between the armed forces and the people of the northeast, especially Maiduguri, until such a time when the youths themselves came together to say, look, this is our land, we need to sacrifice, we need to assist the armed forces to reclaim our territory so that we'll be able to enjoy peace. And that was how civilian JTF was born. And civilian JTF, together with other youths that form the security apparatus of the youth wing, decided to assist the military. And then they begin to show the military, even the training camps, and identify individuals that are part of the movement or the sect in where they train, their financiers. It was on that basis, that is to show you that the youth were ready. They wanted peace, and instead of joining the sect that was fighting federal government, they decided to align themselves with the federal government of Nigeria. And that way, the security forces achieved tremendous successes. There are people in this country that their history will not be complete without the mention of Plateau. So even just truly, my mom used to tell me how Plateau used to be, because I was a kid when we left Plateau. And Anytime she heard news coming of the Plateau about killings, she's saddened because she knows the ambience of Plateau as a place that is always welcoming of anybody, irrespective of creed. And what has made nations tick, even the United States of America that we really use as an example, is because of their ability to absorb people irrespective of their religion, of tribe, of color, of anything. So I think the key to peace on the Plateau is in the hands of the people of Plateau. What we can do is to play the role of supporting them to ensure that peace is achieved on the Plateau.
Abu Hamisu, thank you very much for your wonderful thoughts there. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. We'll take a short break, but still coming up, we'll be going over to Ondo State, where there's been a significant development and a change of guard there. That's what we'll be talking about next. Stay with us.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.